It's the Winging It F1 podcast. Yes, another episode after a few days off, or about a week off, which is normal. So I don't even know why I'm saying that. And I'm joined, as ever, by my two co-hosts, both the best people from the last lap, in my opinion. Anyway, it's Freddie Coates and someone whose surname is more than twice as long as his first name. It's Adam Dickinson. How are you doing, both?
What an introduction! That's brilliant. I've had a lot of surname related gags over the years, but I've never had that one. It's genuinely original and I rate it. Yes, I am doing very well. Freddie?
I'm doing all right too. My surname is 5/7 the length of my first name. I think if I've said that right, it's wrong. It's 6/7. I can't count.
Unless you
do Frederick.
Or Fred.
Oh,
yeah. In which case it's 4/6, 2/3. And Nigel's is actually bigger.
My first name and surname is shorter than just your surname, I think.
Come on, Adam, give some to the rest of us.
Yes, it's the same length. Same length as mine. And yeah, I mean, Nigel likes length-related intros, as we know from the past, although I avoided his first one, which was hair-related. Although, as it's lockdown and we're not going to be getting haircuts until April or whenever it is then, that might become a factor again, as it already is for me and Freddie, at least.
We might have a Grand Prix to go to from June, end of June.
Yes.
The capability.
Where are we going?
Silverstone. Let's go to Silverstone.
Boring.
Well, I mean, it's the easiest one to go to.
Do a Winging It on tour.
Let's go to Singapore.
Do you go to the Silverstone Wing, the Winging It F1 podcast?
From the wing.
That. I like that a lot too.
When Check and Flag podcast do, or is it Five Live Check and Flag podcast? I don't know the full name, but when they do it from like the Racing Points motorhome area, or like the Alfa Romeo hospitality bit, we could do it from the wing.
Let's just go and we'll need to buy a camera because we can't do it on Zoom then, and we'll need to get microphones for all of us. Rent them from the uni, then drive to Silverstone, sit on a bit of Silverstone, then drive back to uni to give it back so that we can use it again another time and not be fined for keeping it too long.
Yes.
Yeah, but if you rent it out on a Friday, you can just give it back on the Monday, can't you?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
right. So we're going to go to Silverstone with our kit from uni, and we're going to be given access to Silverstone, everything we want from Silverstone during a Grand Prix weekend, during the midst of still a global pandemic, but it's okay in the UK at that point if everything's fine. But it will be fine just to sit in the middle of a hospitality area and film ourselves chatting absolute tosh about Formula
Analysis.
One.
I did think I had a dream / semi-conscious thought as I was falling asleep about us doing a Winging It on tour at Autosport last international based on last year's setup, because as you all know, listeners, we are motorsport journalists, and yeah, I kind of had this vision of us like sitting in the press room, like just randomly like on some of the sofas, just randomly talking about motor racing while everyone's just like David Coulthard's milling around over there looking at us, wondering what's going on.
Nigel waves at Tom Ingram. Adam says, "Who's Tom Ingram?" And then we just go on from that.
It actually was. I was like, I went up to the main stage and I saw Nigel and Will Holmes, who's our friend and Nigel's colleague, or then colleague, and he was like really excited about whoever was on stage, and like really just like jumpy and looking forward to talking. I had literally no idea. It's just people in a uniform, fancy dress.
Nigel, I've got a question for you. What are your thoughts on the fact that Adam dreams about us, or semi-consciously thinks about us?
Worried. In one word.
Oh, I was quite flattered, but all right.
Yeah. So
I feel really awkward to mention all of my dreams about you guys now, but anyway.
I was about to say we could make it a regular non-race feature of non-race podcast that each of us has to recount a dream that we had involving the rest of the podcast in some location.
Or we could just have the pessimism stakes.
maybe the viewers
Yes.
and listeners can send in the dreams they've had about all three of us as well.
Yes, I think we will have to wait until we all die for someone to actually have had a dream about all three of us, because it's never going to happen.
No, let's move on. We've had about 5 minutes already. Thanks to
It's the off season. It's fine.
and my
Yeah,
weird
we're allowed
intro
to fill.
about
We're allowed to
names.
fill. We can't speak about Kimi Räikkönen and Antonio Giovinazzi. Who are they? We had a whole pod. We've done 57 episodes of this podcast. We've never spoken about them. We had a whole Formula One season.
No, we talked about them a lot in the driver market one. We just never did them in any of the pre or post race ones.
We spoke
just
about
saved
the
it
fact
all
that they
for
wouldn't
one
be
podcast.
there.
We saved it all for one podcast, and then was like, okay, well, we've done that for that year. We can
And then they
move
got
on.
signed. They signed again.
No.
We'll get to that when we talk about the Alfa Romeo launch. Nigel, take control of this podcast you're hosting.
Yeah, I'm not very good at that, am I? That doesn't bode well for stuff. Speaking of AlphaTauri were the third. No, they weren't. Second team to launch their car last
They were
Friday.
the first Alpha. They were the first of the Alphas.
Yeah. It's a slightly different livery, a bit more black on the car. Yuki Tsunoda, we found, is really short compared to Pierre Gasly, which is quite incredible. And yeah, it was probably the best launch out of the three in the last few days. So, yes.
Freddie's making signs. I don't know what
I thought
you was waving at me.
Like
I
AlphaTauri
kind of was waving. Sorry, I've just got a shadow behind
Your
me.
fault.
Thoughts on the AlphaTauri? I quite like it. The little livery update they've done. They're not normally a team that, at least as their Red Bull ownership guys, and they're not really a team that have changed livery much. They had sort of kind of tweaks to the car from 2006 to 2016, and then they had that kind of really cool sort of neon red blue punchy livery from the last few years of Toro Rosso, which I think everyone loves.
Love that.
Amazing livery. And then I kind of expected them with the AlphaTauri livery from last season, I kind of expected that to be with us for like 5 or 6 years. But I was quite pleasantly surprised to see a bit of an update, kind of a retro-y livery. There are a few pictures of some old Tyrrells going around from the 90s. And I really saw the similarities, and I kind of thought, yeah, it's quite nice, actually. It's all right. It's good.
It's a bit like my video now in black and white.
Yeah, it makes the car look a bit kind of weirdly tall, but I don't know if that was the renders, just because everything seems to be sort of, all the logos seem to be ramped up a foot on the car from where they were last year, apart from the Honda one, which gives it a kind of, I don't know, to my mind, it made it look a bit taller, weirdly, but it's obviously the same height, but that was the perspective that I got from the livery, if that makes sense. We're art critics. I've left Adam in with that.
Yes, I really like it, actually. I think I liked last year's, but just liked it. It was kind of, like 4th, 5th, 6th level in the imaginary livery stakes. So, yeah, I do really like it, actually. I like that they've kind of brought the blue in a lot more and kind of put that down the centre. And the Honda, I believe the Honda wasn't on the rear wing last year. And I quite like it being there for this one. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of it, to be fair.
Yeah, and you raved a lot about AlphaTauri last year, didn't you, Adam? What is it about them that you like?
I mean, they're a good team run well with good drivers, predominantly. And that's kind of always a recipe for success, or, kind of relative success to where they're at. I think if you compare them to the Haas and Alfa Romeos and /Saubers and Williamses of this world, and even some of the teams higher up, to be honest, maybe Racing Point last year and Ferrari probably as well. I think they just kind of seem to always, exceed expectations, and they always kind of seem to do the best that they can do on most weekends. I think Gasly's a very good driver, especially at AlphaTauri, where he knows it very well. Tsunoda's exciting coming through, and obviously, you've just got to look back at the quality and caliber of drivers that they've had over, the last 5 or so years. So yeah, I just think they're a dark horse. No one kind of puts them up there with the midfield, but they're always able to beat some of the midfield runners. I don't know for certain, but it felt like over most races, and Gasly was getting into and Fiat on occasion getting into the Q3 as well.
Yeah, definitely. Gasly with his famous win at Monza last year. Freddie, how do you feel Gasly will fare this year? He's going to be the team's leader, I guess, with rookie Yuki Tsunoda. How do you think he'll live up to the new pressure of that?
It's going to be an entirely different dynamic to what we saw last year. Pierre Gasly, for the majority of the season, walked over Daniel Kvyat. And Daniel Kvyat has had kind of a closure on his third stint in Formula One. Some people don't even get a 1. He's had 3. He did proud, I think, in the last half of the season, did Kvyat, because you could see how different he was to when he got demoted last time, because you could tell he was going to be replaced by Tsunoda, and he just performed better and better and better, and he got to a point that was great. So that's a shame for Kvyat, that when he was getting to his best he's ever been in Formula One is when Tsunoda's risen through the ranks. But I think Tsunoda is one of those drivers who's, he's stepped up every year he's been involved in a car. And Gasly is one of those drivers who has stepped up recently in Toro Rosso, AlphaTauri, but obviously had that awful year with Red Bull. So there's going to be more question marks over this pairing, I think, than we've seen in recent years at AlphaTauri at Toro Rosso. I think Tsunoda is going to start moderately. I think Gasly's going to be really, on it, because he is in this car. He absolutely loves the dynamic in this team and this car. It's where he's been absolutely fantastic. But I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a bit rattled later on by Tsunoda.
Yeah, I think it's quite an exciting pairing to look at. Kind of both of them have got career progression on the cards for next season, because Tsunoda, if he can prove that he's good enough, then he's right in line for a Red Bull seat. And I don't think Red Bull will have qualms about promoting him just after one season, because that always goes so well from what we've seen over the last few years. And Gasly, there are some good drivers coming up through the Red Bull Junior system that, it kind of feels like they could be on a good year away from F1 as well. I think Vips and Lawson spring to mind. There's probably more that I'm not recalling at this very moment. But I think Gasly's kind of he's got to be proving that he can go and lead another midfield team. That's got to be his thing for this year, because I think that's where he's going to be looking for a contract at next season. And if he can't, or if he doesn't, but still can't find a contract, then it'll kind of be a bit of a step back to somewhere like Williams, Haas, or Alfa Romeo, who are kind of a step below in the Class C battle. So yeah, I think it's a big year for both, because they both kind of got a point to prove.
Yeah, it's a very exciting driver lineup for me. I absolutely love Yuki Tsunoda. How do we feel? Well, I guess, how does he rank in terms of the Toro Rosso Red Bull drivers we've seen over the last 10 years? Is he one of the most exciting Red Bull juniors we've seen?
Oh, he's one of the most exciting to come in, definitely. I think the way he's done one season in F2, then gone straight to AlphaTauri, is kind of the style we've kind of got used to with Helmut Marko's appointments, in that, okay, he's done a good season there, bam, into the junior team. And we've had that with Verstappen, with Kvyat, with going down the line, probably all of them. If you look at it, they've had a good Renault 3.5 series and that kind of thing. So I think on results wise, he's kind of standard, but it's the fact that he's got to that stage to get the results in such a meteoric way, if that makes sense, in the way he's gone Japanese F3, F4, and then F3, and then got better as that went on. F2 got better and better and better, and that one even better in comparison to F2 than he was in F3, which is saying something. And then you just kind of look at it and think, well, he's on the momentum charge that matches a move to Formula One. And I think that's, yeah, it's really exciting. I don't know if he's the most exciting. We've had the 17-year-old Max Verstappen coming in alongside also complete rookie with Carlos Sainz. I think that was probably the most exciting year for this team. But this is, he's one of the best rookie prospects we've had since Russell. That was only 2 years ago, but
yeah, everyone's definitely had a lot of great rookies recently.
Yeah.
Adam, you got anything to add?
I mean, yeah, that's a good point. You've had Leclerc as well coming through over the last 2 years. But yeah, I think he is right up there for the other points that Freddie said. I think we mentioned this before, but I wouldn't kind of look to compare his results to Gasly so much as comparing where he is at the start of the season to where he is at the end, because yes, obviously Red Bull promotion is always going to be on the cards when you're in that team, but they've got plenty of time, and I think there shouldn't be that pressure on him. It should just be looking at improving, getting used to all the tracks that are on the calendar and getting used to an F1 car, and as long as he is getting better and getting to, a decent level and near Gasly by the end of the season, I think that, that would be a success, really. That said, it does feel like he could very well exceed that. And, I think it would be great to see that happen. He said he wanted to be the first Japanese race winner in F1, which would be a superb thing.
Oh, yeah, he hasn't won a race. I forgot.
Yeah, surprised me.
Yeah, it surprised me too, actually, when you think you've got like Satoru Nakajima and people like that from the 80s who are sort of kind of legendary. Kazuki Nakajima as well is also a legendary driver.
Kobayashi, he was a legend.
Kobayashi's fantastic. He the last Japanese podium at Suzuka.
Whenever he's in a race, he just felt like anything could happen. It's brilliant.
Yeah. If Kobayashi was behind anyone, you knew something was going to happen, that he was going to try and move. And it's a shame that his second place qualifying start for the Belgian Grand Prix in 2012 was ruined by a wayward Romain Grosjean. But anyway, that's for another story, which will probably never be told by us. But
probably not.
We're not. No, it was 9 years ago.
Spa preview 2021. Watch this space, maybe.
Well, I mean, the 21 is the 12 backwards, so we could do some fancy like wizardry with that. But anyway, I was going to make a point about Tsunoda.
So for every preview, race preview,
this year, we preview the 2012 race.
Yeah,
yeah.
That would be very exciting.
It would be great when we get to Abu Dhabi, because the 2012 race in Abu Dhabi is the only good race in Abu Dhabi. But anyway,
I mean, it'd be great when we get to the Portuguese Grand Prix as well. Was that the year? No, it wouldn't have been when they had GP2 there.
No, it was 2009.
Yeah, I don't think we should do that. I think that's a bad idea in hindsight.
I don't think anyone else meant it seriously, Adam. But anyway, what I was going to say about Tsunoda was that the unfortunate thing that will probably end up deciding Tsunoda's Formula One future fate, if that makes sense.
Us.
Yeah, us. Is Perez's season. It's how Perez gets on in the Red Bull. And if Perez is really good in the Red Bull, then that gives Tsunoda time, I think. If Perez isn't necessarily amazing in the Red Bull, I think that gives Tsunoda less time. Would you buy that as a point of view? Would you buy that as a point of view of they'll want to put Tsunoda in the Red Bull rather than if they're at a loss for 2022?
I think if he has a Albon 2019 or Gasly 2018 season, then yes, they probably look to do that.
Yeah.
Again, I think it depends how he kind of does and compares to. Yeah, if he's doing badly, they're not going to want to put him in. It's if he's not able to keep pace with Gasly in an AlphaTauri, then it's completely nonsensical to be considering it even for Red Bull. But I think if he has a good season and Perez doesn't, it's always going to be on the cards. Or have Red Bull learnt from their mistakes over the last few years, and would they, put a kind of another journeyman driver in? Valtteri Bottas, as I've been saying for a while.
I mean, I think that as long as Perez gets a few podiums, maybe a couple wins, that's enough to keep his seat. Unless Tsunoda has an exceptional season.
A few podiums and a couple wins wouldn't be a bad season. It'd be a very good season.
Red Bull season since Vettel did in 2013. Then maybe he'll do enough to keep his seat.
If he's closer to Verstappen than Gasly and Albon were, then which is quite
definitely.
a low bar, then I think he will stay unless Tsunoda has an exceptional season.
If Valtteri Bottas wins 11 races, then I think it'd be enough for him to keep his Mercedes seat for 2020.
I think Red Bull are going to do well this year. I think Red Bull are going to do well, so that's why I think a few podiums is quite a low bar.
Well, I mean, we'll get on to Red Bull later, but there's a lot to be said about where they end in 2020 actually being a good sign, rather than being an omen for Mercedes, but we'll get on to that later.
Before we move on to the next team, I just need to say, not want, I need to say where you can find us on this podcast. You can watch us on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, our podcast provider, Acast. We're at Winging It F1 on Twitter as well. You know where our Twitters are. You're probably already following us, so I don't have to repeat them, not because I can't remember. Just had to say that really before we move on to Alfa Romeo, who launched the car on Monday.
What a car.
Yeah,
what a car.
I like it.
It's
new livery.
Incredible.
Best car we've seen so far out of 3.
Definitely. I think it's better than all of the cars last season and probably before that as well. It's so good. I mean, I've liked, since they've gone to this kind of Merlot and white livery scheme with the Alfa Romeo badge on, from 2017, 18, maybe.
18.
I've liked all of their designs. I wasn't a massive fan of. Actually, saying that, I wasn't as much a fan of last year. I thought it was a bit of a downgrade. I didn't like the black elements on it so much. But yeah, I think it's the best car we've got this season. Better than last year, better than a fair few seasons we've had before as well. It's an absolute stunner.
It is a beautiful, beautiful car. And I think if you had told me last year, because I think the Alfa Romeo has been progressing nicely since they've got that sponsorship on the Sauber. I think it's been progressing really nicely, the development of the livery from where it was with Leclerc and Ericsson to where it was at the end for last year's car with the Orlan sponsorship that came on and brought in a bit more red as well. And if you'd said to me, oh, how about we just switch the red and the white round, I probably would have said, don't do it, don't change it, don't mess with it, because it's really nice. But they've done it, and it's still really nice. It feels slick, and in fact it feels kind of like really streamlined, if that makes sense. And like, I think it will look great around Monaco.
It look great around it'd look great around like an industrial estate in Rochdale.
Yeah, I think it's if it's one that we're going to be thinking about tracks. I mean, like, you know, Italy in the middle of summer, every car looks good, but that would just be absolutely perfect if we were going to Mugello this year, but we're not. But I don't know if it's my favorite. Because I don't know yet. Oh, what? Yeah.
What was like causing doubt in your mind?
I do think the McLaren is a near perfect livery as well. And I do think that one's. I think the little subtle changes they've made to the McLaren have made it even better this year. And I think the McLaren is a really, really good looking car. But I think of the 4 we've got so far, I'd say the Alfa just snatches it for me. And I do think the Red Bull is still an excellent looking car. We're going to get onto the Red Bull later, as I keep saying, but they've and we've got the same looking car as everyone says for Red Bull. It's boring because it's not different, but it is. It's a great looking car.
I think like the McLaren one they've got at the moment, I think it's probably kind of as close to perfect as you could get, maybe with this design scheme, with this color scheme or whatever.
Yeah.
But in terms of outright, I don't think it's in the same. I don't think anything's in the same league as the Alfa Romeo, and I think that extends. I really like the way as you say, they flipped the white and the rouge, so the burgundy's now kind of on the bottom, and I really like I really like how the logo on the engine cover just kind of rises out of the red. If anyone's not seen Tommo, he's not called Tommo F1 anymore, but he did a bit of a redesign, which if there's any livery that doesn't need a redesign, it's that one. But he then kind of played around with the colours on it and kind of switched it. I think he did a green and red one, which is obviously their kind of clover colour.
Yeah, because they got the clover bang in the middle of the engine cover, don't they? Which is their sport logo. If you go back in the past, they'll always have the triangle with the clover on it on their old Alfa Romeo cars from about 1950. And the fact that that's sort of slap bang in the middle gives it a really nice like little nod that if you know, if you don't know, it looks good, and that's that works. It's got that innuendo to it.
He kind of played around with the colours of it, so he did a kind of background green, and then instead of the white, and he also did a much lighter red instead of the white, and both of those look really good actually. Kind of, if I didn't think they would, but if I saw them kind of as testing liveries, I think I would quite like those. I think Nigel's back with us now. What do you think of the Alfa Romeo?
We'll put some links to those images in the description below, just in case you aren't aware of them or haven't found them.
We are YouTubers.
Yeah.
And podcasters everywhere else.
Yeah, I think it looks great as well. Definitely the best car we've seen so far. Probably will be the best. Still not sure about how good they're going to be on the track, but at least the car does look good. How do we think they will fare with an unchanged?
It's that good, it doesn't matter. They're just going to no one's going to even. Everyone will forget what position they're in when they see them going round. Like the graphic.
It matters so much because that car livery deserves to be successful, and it just won't be. And it's quite sad because the Sauber team, which is it's still a Sauber, is sponsored by Alfa Romeo, but the Sauber team just they feel like they don't have that kick to not be in 8th place.
Yes.
And does that make any sense? Do I sound stupid saying that? But it just like you look at Williams and Haas, who finished behind them last year. Everything you hear out of Williams is we're going to get back up there, and I believe it. And you see with Haas, the kind of team mentality is like, we deserve to be in the midfield, at least. We deserve to be in the midfield. And they have been, and I believe it. And you look at Alfa Romeo, and if they ever say anything, if you ever catch anything they say, because everything they say is just tedious and dry. If you ever catch anything they say, it's like we'll do the weekend. And they've been the also runs of Formula One since BMW left 10 years ago. And they had a brief renaissance with Charles Leclerc because he was an excellent driver. And that helped drag the car forward and helped drag the team up a bit, which also helped drag Marcus Ericsson up a bit. And Ericsson had his best year and unfortunately was, sidelined.
A feature of Drive to Survive.
It's true. It's just Sauber need to kick up the arse, frankly. And if they didn't get that with an Alfa Romeo deal, that's why I reckon they're going to lose Alfa Romeo at the end of this year.
They've upgraded the car a lot, though. There's been a lot of changes. They've used up the 2 tokens, which each team is allowed to use this year. So they've brought a lot of updates. Does that not give you any confidence?
No.
I don't know. I think...
It really saddens me because that team was a team that I remember adoring with the Kubica-Heidfeld BMW lineup back in the day. I remember thinking, I look back on that.
Very good looking car as well.
You're so right. It's a fantastic historic BMW car and Sauber car of just like the glory days. And they came second in the championship because of the McLaren dismissal. And it's just like, where is that gone? Where's that gone? It's clearly the fighting spirit of that team has come from external factors, and it came from Red Bull sponsoring them for years, and then it came from BMW basically owning them for years. And since then, it's just been nothing, and they haven't got it with an Alfa Romeo. And I just think, I don't know when this ends for them as a team. And I know this is getting existential from 2021, but that team's just going to shrivel up and die, I'm afraid. I think.
Yeah, and I think the kind of faith in the upgrades kind of ties into what you said, Freddie, that if it was another team kind of coming out and saying, "Oh, we've got all of these upgrades, and we're going to be taking a step forward," you kind of feel like there was something to it. Whereas with Alpha, there's just kind of no faith that they will make that step forward, because they've done nothing.
If you look at
if you want to
look at it on facts, let's look at it on facts. They've only just basically opened a simulator to help develop the car. They didn't even use it for this car. Yeah, okay, cool. 2022, maybe they'll use it for that. They've had a wind tunnel sat there for 10 years and they've not been able to use. And they might have been able to turn it on once or twice now. And they've got a bit of a cash injection from Alfa Romeo, but they're just not doing it. They're not doing it. They're not giving. They need to give off a good impression to get the money to use it. And they're seeing that and going, why aren't people coming to us? Because you're not making them want to invest in you. Alfa Romeo have done it because you've got a good relationship with Ferrari. But Alfa Romeo said the other day that they're going to be electric from 2022 onwards or whatever from the future. So they're going to leave. They're going to leave Formula One. There's rumours they're going to take up a Formula E entry, but that's grapevine from like a day ago. So I think they need to just grab Formula One and want to do it. They need to shake themselves. Fred Vasseur is an excellent guy. Why?
My answer to that is they were racing Ferrari quite a lot last year, and considering how bad the Ferrari engine was, Kimi Räikkönen was the best of the 6 Ferrari-powered drivers. I think they did well considering the power unit they had.
Once or twice that happened, and then they just slipped back to nothing.
Did Charles Leclerc not exist to you last season?
That's a good point, actually.
Raikkonen was beating Leclerc from a few times. Raikkonen was the best Ferrari-powered driver last year on occasion.
I think Raikkonen's a great when he qualified 4th at the Sakir Grand Prix as well.
Yeah, and all those podiums he got as well. That was just...
Yeah, but to be fighting with a team that spends the most money in F1, do you not think that's a decent year considering what they had in the back of the car?
I mean, they were probably fighting Alex Albon once or twice as well, but it doesn't like... I think, they maybe exceeded expectations a bit last year, but I just think, as Freddie said, looking back over the last 10 years, they've done nothing apart from have Leclerc in for a season.
10 years, so
maybe
Perez's
not 10
podiums.
Okay, that's over exaggerating.
That's the exception year that proves the rule. Frankly, Perez and when nearly winning a race in Malaysia, that was great. And you look at that and think, wow, they've got a momentum, they've got an urge. And then the next year they have Nico Hülkenberg doing okay, and then the next year after that they get no points. It's like, what?
I think it's also so sad because it's a livery that will get lost to time. It's a bit like the Jordan 1991 livery, except Giovinazzi isn't Schumacher. But in honour of that, we are introducing a feature which we have just thought of, or I thought of last night for a last lap feature, but Freddie isn't doing it because...
thought of a lot of things last night. Oh no, that was... The dream was the other day, wasn't it? Sorry.
Don't know. Anyway, Nigel was taking too much of an interest in my sleeping and night habit. But the pessimism stakes, because we didn't mention Alpha enough last year, Alfa Romeo that is, we'll be doing a few-minute checkup on them after every race and creating a nice little jingle to go along with this, which is going to be very fun. And an animation, if any of us can be bothered, which we probably won't, but...
We're not going to do an animation.
Okay, there we go.
We might do a little title that just says the pessimism stakes bit. And then we'll do a yaha to celebrate. Because Kimi Räikkönen is Mario, we've decided. Because he's the F1 driver who's most like a plumber. And I think although Luigi is Antonio Giovinazzi. So we're going down rabbit warrens here. But to do so, we're going to mention Alfa Romeo. And in doing so, they're going to get coverage because we decided that we accidentally didn't talk about them, as Adam says. And that's because there's nothing to say about them, as we've just said. So we're going to give them a little bit of a spotlight. We're gonna, ruffle a few feathers. Nigel's going to defend them. for some
There
reason.
will be stuff to talk about this year, I'm sure. They're going to score points.
Wow, F1
Wow.
score
Consistently.
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 What, and
Actually.
is Raikkonen going to outperform Sainz and Leclerc again? Or, yeah, I think I'm looking forward to this. The pessimism stakes coming soon, probably after the testing. Barcelona, is it? No, it's Bahrain testing. Will be
Bahrain.
I'm going crazy. Will be the first one
Aren't we
that
all?
we do it for. So,
Yes, as we found out
yeah.
earlier when I, yeah.
Well, I
The
mean, the
pessimism
first
stakes
red flag of last year's testing was an Alfa Romeo. So if that's not an omen, I don't know what is.
The pessimism stakes coming soon to this podcast. Look out for that.
Yes. That's enough Alfa Romeo debate for now. Let's move on to the final team that has launched as of recording this podcast. It is Red Bull. Will 2021 finally be the year? Yes or no? One word, both at the same time.
Yes.
Maybe.
Well,
okay.
You didn't
Not
say
I was
what the question
expecting.
was.
And you said,
You said, will it finally be the year? I didn't know.
The
Oh,
year
you
see-
story.
I mean, it already is
Yeah.
2021 by my watch.
Yeah.
So yes.
So, yes, it will be the year that Sergio Perez races for them, but no, it won't be the year that they win the championship. Either
No,
championship.
it won't be the year that they finally sack Max Verstappen.
No.
So what will it be
It
the year
won't.
of then for Red Bull?
The Ox. I didn't expect that to get a reaction.
Yeah,
But,
I know.
okay. I was about to give an answer. I reckon. So I alluded to this earlier in the podcast. Red Bull developed their car significantly at the end of 2020. Mercedes obviously didn't. They cut off their development quite early on, which made the curve much steeper than it probably could have been. But that's the crucial point. This car is such a carryover of that car for everyone this year. The 2021 Formula One cars are such a carryover of the 2020 Formula One cars that the performance gap is going to be relatively similar, I'd imagine. So this could be Red Bull's best chance in a long time, for Max Verstappen at least, to be at a good level at the start of the season. Because
Well, we say this every year.
we do say this
I
every year,
don't.
but we've got regulation to talk about it this time. Because Red Bull won the final race of last year from pole. They didn't come fourth. They won it from pole. And the car is basically the same for everyone-ish, but with a few issues to the floor. And it doesn't say Aston Martin on it anymore. And, that's just less paint. So, frankly, it should go faster.
The only
So
reason they were on, but if you look at the gap between McLaren and Mercedes at Abu Dhabi, it was quite small. So
That's a good point, actually.
One Mercedes
What
going
Freddie's
back.
saying is,
That's a
if
good point.
this year's World Championship is decided off the race weekend of the 2020 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, Red Bull will win. But
Well, I mean, it's source material we've
it's
got.
like,
to use.
you got 25 points and no one else did. So yes, you are the champions, and then we'll just go and race around Australia for fun.
You know what I'm saying is that based on the most recent success and based on the fact that that's the most similar carryover car as we've had in recent years since, like, I don't know, 1988, that it's going to actually be kind of important where they finish the season more so than in previous years. And that, it makes it, so what I'm saying is Red Bull's best shot. I'm not saying they'll do it.
I mean, based off the most recent success, Pierre Gasly should have won the Mugello Grand Prix. But
No, you're being facetious.
I
I
don't
still
see it
don't know what
happening
that
from
word
pole.
means.
It's not.
Verstappen
We'd
won
like
from
to see a
pole
title
on
fight.
pace. I think we might see a title fight, but I don't think Red Bull will win.
I mean, yeah.
I'd be happy to see that.
Yeah,
I'd
I'm
be
fine with
happy
that.
to see it. I would be happy to see it, but I just don't see it because it happens every year. I think Mercedes know what they're doing too much. They know what they're doing too much. Lewis Hamilton is just so good, and I just don't kind of see it happening. Really, it happens. We have this debate as every year, as we've said, and you can get excited about it the first few years, but then when it's like going into year 6 or 7 or whatever the hell we're in, it's like.
Well, that's the thing, Adam. This year it has been the same debate for 6 years. But this year there is an alternative factor of the position from 2020 being more relevant, as I've been saying, which means that you can say, oh, okay.
I don't think that's enough to turn the tide of 7 years of Mercedes dominance, though.
No, but it's enough to say that this is the best chance Red Bull have had.
Yeah.
Cool. That's what I said.
It's the best chance, like, Team Silverstone have had as well. But again,
cool.
like,
yeah.
I just don't see it happening.
I don't know. I'm really 50-50. I think they will be closer. You know what, Freddie? I'm going to go with you. I think they are going to challenge Mercedes this year. I think they will. And the car we saw at the launch is not the car they're going to use this year. They couldn't really tell much difference. But yeah, I think. Oh, I don't know now. I'm going to backtrack.
I expect them to be closer. I expect them to be a bit closer, and the Perez factor should help with that.
Verstappen was consistently qualifying within 3 or 4 tenths, wasn't he? So if they're going to get even closer, then that is a genuine threat.
Yeah.
From the first weekend, it never felt to me like there would be a title fight involving Verstappen. Like it just never kind of felt like he'd be in that position. Yeah, but I mean that's what I mean. It's not like, I don't know, 2018 Ferrari, where it's kind of like, oh, they just have to get a bit better and, you know, they might be there. It just feels like...
You're right. We won't know till the first weekend. And if at the first weekend at Bahrain, a track where it's traditionally kind of a more Mercedes track, but at Bahrain, if Verstappen's, you know, 6 tenths off, 7 tenths off, then yeah, that answers the question really. But if he's 3 or 4 tenths off, then then that kind of doesn't answer the question, because at a power track, you'd expect that kind of gap if the Red Bull's going to challenge next week at Imola, where the Red Bull was really close last year. So it really depends on the first weekend for us to, you know, jump on a few bandwagons, definitely. And if he's way off, then yeah, that eludes it straight away. But I do just think it'll be a bit closer and there'll be a bit more to it this year, and that Mercedes are going to have to develop this car probably a little bit more than they'll want to.
I agree, but I always feel Mercedes have that little bit extra that they never ever show. And, you know, if they have to bring the pace, they will do it. But the only factor that Red Bull have over Mercedes is a better driver lineup, in my opinion anyway. I think Verstappen and Perez is a better lineup than Bottas and Hamilton. Do you agree with that?
It's the 9 to the 8.5, that kind of thing. It's only fractionally better, I think, as a part. I mean, we're going to see how Perez stacks up. But
I think best case scenario in terms of Perez, I think they would be stronger. But I think I'd still put Mercedes ahead and also we've seen how Bottas and Hamilton work together.
That's true
as well, and I think, you know, that aspect's significant.
Are they your number one, Adam? Are they your number one pairing, would you say?
Yeah, I think
these are the strongest pairing.
I can't remember which week we spoke about this, but yeah, I think just in terms of I just think Hamilton's the best number 1 driver and Bottas is the best number 2 driver. To me,
I'd put Red Bull and Ferrari ahead of them for me.
I think they're all really good. They're all really good lineups.
I think for a team looking to win 2 championships in a year, I think they have the best pairing. Is kind of the way the metric I look at it from.
Yeah, I mean, if Perez is going, as Adam says, yeah, we've seen Hamilton and Bottas for 4 years now tick every box. If not quite every box, it's not a 1-2 in the championship. We saw that last year and the year before that, at least. And that's, you know, the best results they've had as a champion, as a team in the championship. Sainz is coming into a new team. Perez is coming into a new team. That just rocks the rocks the boat a little bit in their capability. You know, it took Ricciardo a bit of time to get used to the Renault, and then once he did, he blitzed Hulkenberg. So I mean, and he's one of the best on the grid. So the driver lineup is definitely a big debate, but it's affected by the the treading water stage of the first few races, if that makes sense, of a new team. I think the one that kind of like what always kind of is interesting with Perez is that in sort of 2018 it was sacrilege that he kept his seat and Ocon didn't, and then a little bit later it was sacrilege that Perez didn't keep his seat and that kind of thing. And it's kind of like, well, obviously, the mentality there was that Perez was the worst driver at that point. Perez definitely all that. He's definitely the best choice for Red Bull at the moment. But is he going to challenge Max? And I think it's a much bigger question than people have been thinking about. Really, I think it's all well and good saying, Albon did crap. Yeah, he did, and it warranted bringing in Perez. But whether Perez can, be as much as a step up as is needed, he'll be a step up. But as much as a step up as is needed by Red Bull is a different question.
I think it's and I think that's the case for the whole team. Really, I think they will be a step closer, or I think it's likely they'll be a step closer to Mercedes. But I think they're doing that from a position of 3 or 4 steps back. I don't think like moving a bit closer is enough to make them into genuine title contenders. I think, as we said before, it would have been very interesting if Hamilton hadn't had his new contract, and kind of maybe something would have gone different there. I do think Red Bull might do very well at testing, and then everyone will say, "Oh yeah, they're going to do amazing. It's going to be there." And then we'll get to the first race, and Mercedes will blitz it, and it will be the same as usual. But I hope I'm wrong. I genuinely do. I hope we have a good title fight. I hope we have drama consistently for the race win over the season.
We'll say this at the time when it comes to testing, but if you've got that, you'll have the headline times. And what it's got to look at is how those headline times have been achieved. We obviously don't know fuel loads and that kind of thing, but we are able to find speed trap figures and stuff like that. And if you compare those over the few days, then you'll be able to realistically see a lot more, get a lot more data out of it. Like if you've got a really high speed figure at one point, it's like, that's a low fuel run, okay. But you've got consistent high speeds coming from at the end of from the speed traps, then that's kind of where we're going to find a bit more, at least engine performance. And that's, I think, realistically where we're going to be seeing a lot of difference this year, with Honda bringing a new engine, which will be the engine of bringing essentially what they want as a 2022 spec engine, they're bringing for 2021. So whether that'll bring a few niggles early on, we don't know, but they think they're packing. So
I think that'll be a really interesting one to follow, because that was something Red Bull did have problems with last season, was reliability. They went for a stretch through the kind of middle of the season where Verstappen had back-to-back retirements, and I think, as Freddie says, if they're bringing in a stonking engine, that could be very interesting to know. But equally, they'll most likely be teething problems, because that's just what happens. It's definitely a watch this space, though.
Definitely watch this space.
I think if they're reliable, then they'll challenge. But we'll talk about it more as the season builds.
Certainly will.
Yes, we really will. For the next, up until end of March, which actually, to be fair, it's only 30 odd days away until we're going to be doing our preview hype for the new season. But when we're at that stage,
4 more episodes away.
4 more episodes, a lot more
maybe
launches
8
to come. Testing, maybe 8 episodes. What? Okay. Nigel's going to try and get the Bahrain Grand Prix cancelled, apparently. Unless we're doing those 8-hour streams of testing. But anyway, we'll probably be saying what can Red Bull do every week? So get ready for that, because as much as it's the tale of as old as time, and everyone's bored of it, and everyone says they're bored of it, and we're all bored of it, but we also have just spoken about it. So you're bored of it, listener, but it's going to be what you're dealing with.
Our viewers and listeners are never bored, and they won't be bored in a minute when we all give our hot takes for each of the 3 teams we've been talking about today. Who wants to go first with a prediction or something from Alfa Romeo, AlphaTauri, or Red Bull? Anyone?
Let's go AlphaTauri first. I am going to say that they will score points in every race. What have I said?
I mean,
big.
That's
it's a hot take.
In fairness, they nearly did that. They were only 2 races off doing that in 2020. I know it's more obviously.
It's a good prediction.
More races this year. Yeah.
They've never finished top 5 in the constructors. If they do that, they could. I mean, as Toro Rosso and AlphaTauri over the 15, 16 years. So that
and probably as Minardi as well. Yeah, I think I can safely say Minardi didn't finish in the top 5 of the constructors.
Adam, have you got anything?
Yeah. Is Gasly getting a podium? That's not really warm enough, is it? Is it? Would you say?
I think that's pretty good. Because it's not baseless, but it's interesting and would make everyone go crazy if it happened.
Should I go for Tsunoda?
If you think about, what are your criteria for that? Is it on pace or is it on just chaos?
Anything. If he's on the podium, no.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he was close to
if they turn up to the weekend and they're like laughing in the top 3 for practice, then yes.
Think about it. They were in Imola. He qualified 4th in Imola.
Where did they finish?
He retired because he had an engine issue. But,
exactly.
But Kvyat finished 4th. So realistically, second race of the year, I don't think that's a bad shout at all. I think that's really.
Nigel,
I think you should go for that.
Okay, yeah, I'll stick with that.
Phone Paddy about it as well. Put a quid on it.
Is Nigel going to say Yuki Tsunoda becomes Japan's first race winner?
I think Alfa Romeo are going to score at least 50 points this year.
Cool.
50?
Alfa Romeo 50 points.
Yeah.
I mean, how many did they score in 2019 when they had an okay car?
I am looking
like 30 something, 40, I think. 38.
They scored 57 actually.
Oh that's goodness. Okay. Well, I mean,
shall I go 60 then?
What you're saying is marked improvement from last year.
I mean, they got 8 last year, so I think 50.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought it was way too high, in all honesty.
Go for it, Nigel. Why not? Alfa Romeo to score 50 points. Heck. All right.
One of their, again, tell me if this is too cold and I'll raise it. One of their drivers will miss a race. At least one race.
Oh, okay. Which driver? Kimi or Antonio? And who will sub in? Well, actually, no, that'll be Kubica. Ignore me.
If pushed, I'd say
I'm pushing
Kimi.
You. Okay.
But
okay. That is quite spicy, I'd say.
These are very interesting.
Considering it could happen as well. It's not like we're saying it 2 years ago when no one missed races really. It's a thing now, unfortunately.
The other one I was weighing up was one of them will be replaced.
Oh.
I might go for that, but no, they're too boring and pessimistic for that, which we will discuss in the pessimists and stakes every week. So no, I'll go with that. Although I'll claim it if either of them miss one, to be honest. But
yeah, do it, claim it. I've got to think of one now. I've had enough time, and I've just been lapping up your predictions.
It's all right. Nigel can go for his first.
Oh, thanks for that, Adam. I mean, I don't really have one.
No,
I saw a bus going out the window, and I thought, I could just throw Nigel under that.
Yeah, I was going to say that Kubica basically was going to do. I was going to say basically the same as Adams, but I don't know anything. Fred Vasseur is going to leave.
What?
Fred Vasseur is going to leave Alfa Romeo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. I think Verstappen's going to win more races than Hamilton.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay.
I've just decided.
And so Bottas is going to win the championship then?
Someone will win it.
And
we're going to present the next episode from the moon.
or the Silverstone paddock. Either as unlikely. Bloody hell! I'm not going for that.
Why didn't you say that till last?
Perez won't win a race. Is that?
That's quite an ordinary take, I would say.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, and that's quite a normal one. I think if you said that, everyone would say, "I agree with you," which is why it's not hot.
That is a shame.
Yeah. Honda will be so happy with how 2021 is going, they will stay on.
He's just gone even hotter from Nigel's.
Come on, Adam, run out of time.
Okay, Verstappen will only get three wins.
Wow, the same amount as he's got in the past 3 years.
Yes. Nigel, what's your AlphaTauri one?
Oh, right. We're doing each team. I thought
we have. Well, we've done
random things. To be honest, for the last 10 minutes. AlphaTauri.
You're on the clock as well.
Quick. You've got 10 seconds.
Score Gasly. Probably.
That's a normal take, but we'll have to take it because we've got to go, and we've got to end the podcast.
Yes. Thanks for listening. As I already said before, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and on Twitter. We'll be back next week to talk about more car launches, I guess. I think there's some more, Mercedes and Alpine, Aston Martin tapping next week.
These are going to be the cool ones, hopefully.
Big moves coming up.
See you
on the Winging It F1 podcast.
Yeah, we'll see you then.
Bye everybody.